So I think it's about time that we address the huge elephant in the room with Clair Obscur Expedition 33 just launching and what everyone is talking about when it comes to Final Fantasy. So we've discussed this before, or at least there's been conversations about it, but let's just go over the ground floor of what's happening here. Then we'll get into the bigger, I would say, picture overall. So Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a brand new turn-based RPG that takes inspiration from Persona, Final Fantasy, Lost Odyssey, Paper Mario, and a plethora of other games. But essentially, people are looking at this like if Final Fantasy was still turn-based, this is the type of tone, style, graphics, and vibe that it could have. It almost feels like a Final Fantasy game in some ways. Now, obviously, the gameplay is very different from most Final Fantasy games out there, even classic ones, but it does have some Final Fantasy VIII in it, Legend of Dragoon as well, so there's a lot of comparisons that are running the gambit. Now, I've talked about it a bit ago before, but I wanted to give it some time and let this kind of breathe overall. Let the game breathe, but there's been a lot of posts that I've came across on Twitter. Even the homie Gene Park had to say something about it, so I figured, hey, let's just address this elephant in the room. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a small game in the sense of the amount of developers that it took to make the game. I mean, it's about 30-something people or so. It is a Unreal Engine 5 game. It went straight to Game Pass. It's a $50 game. So they really kind of hedged all their bets on saying, hey, look, this game, you know, we have a smaller team, and, you know, it's 30 hours for the game if you want to play through it, and it's 60 hours if you want to do a completionist run, so you're not going to get that 100+ hour experience that you get in other big JRPGs like Xenoblade or Metaphor or even Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But what you're going to get is a finely crafted game built by a passionate team that absolutely loves all of these cool JRPGs and even a flair of some Western RPGs here and there. But honestly, this game is Japanese in so many different types of ways, but it's just not a Japanese RPG built from, like, let's say, developers from Japan, right? The style is definitely Japanese RPG, but it's not created in Japan. These are French developers, but they obviously have done their homework and love JRPGs because so much of that flair is built into Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So recently on Twitter, there's been a lot of talk. I'm going to read some posts for you guys, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents on what's happening here and what could happen overall. So there was a creator named SebiWebs, and he said this on Twitter: for 20 years straight, Final Fantasy fans have been gaslit that no one wants turn-based combat, that it will never sell, that they're wrong for even wanting it. Expedition 33 destroyed that lie in a single day. So I have some issues with this post before we get to the next post that we're going to talk about. The issue that I have is that there's been a bunch of other turn-based games that have done really well. So I think we've all known, and Final Fantasy fans have known, that turn-based combat can sell and do well. We have Bravely Default, we have Metaphor ReFantazio, we have Dragon Quest, which sells incredibly well. We have a bunch of turn-based games. Obviously, Pokemon sells really well. So we already have that. I'm not sure where the gaslighting's been coming from. I think it was Yoshi P or somebody from Square Enix did say, like, hey, this is kind of like what the fans would want, would be more of an action type of game. But I don't think there's really been any real gaslighting going on overall. There's just a difference of opinion in terms of the direction to go and the type of combat that you're looking for. I think that Final Fantasy VII Remake tries to do a good job of blending the two, having parts where you can slow down and kind of stop and then pick your moves, so almost making it like turn-based in that type of way. But I completely see, I would say, the general gist of this. There has been some back and forth between Final Fantasy old school fans and new Final Fantasy fans about what would be best for the franchise going forward in the future. Turn-based combat or action combat, or maybe even some type of hybrid like Metaphor ReFantazio, but mainly turn-based overall. And I don't think that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 destroys that in a day, but I do think that the game already selling 1 million units without the huge marketing brand and power of Square Enix and of Final Fantasy, that is impressive. So if this was a Final Fantasy game, let's just say Square Enix made Expedition 33 and it was called Final Fantasy Expedition 33 instead, I think this game would have sold maybe 4 million copies by now. So maybe that's what we're getting at here just a little bit, that you can have a turn-based RPG with Final Fantasy in the modern day and it'd be completely fine sales-wise if a small independent team that doesn't have the marketing muscle of Square Enix can sell 1 million copies in 3 days so far. So I think I understand a bit. It's not 100% like that, but I understand what's going on. But I also understand all the people that are not subscribed to the channel that are going to hit that sub button for awesome RPG content and more. So make sure you hit that sub button, hit that like button, and click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop. And let me know what your favorite Final Fantasy game is, or what your favorite part, non-spoiler, of Expedition 33 is so far. So let's kind of talk a little bit more about this, because there's been more posts that I want to get into which kind of show the ridiculousness that's going on Twitter. Like I said, the elephant in the room that I wanted to get to. So there's another content creator called Clair Aesthetics. I think he's a pretty big content creator as well. And he quote tweeted Shirako, which is another content creator, said Final Fantasy 17 should be turn-based. Then the aesthetics guy says Clair Obscur Expedition 33 proved that turn-based RPGs should make a comeback. So this is the one that kind of threw me for a loop, and a lot of other people for a loop. It's like, what are you talking about? Discourse on this is getting to the ridiculousness. Like, I put out a bunch of games: Metaphor Refantasio, Octopath Traveler 2, Bravely Default, Dragon Quest, Triangle Strategy, Pokemon, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei. All of these franchises have came out recently too, within the last number of years, and have had great releases with great review scores. They've all reviewed really well and have done really well, with Metaphor Refantasio being in the Game of the Year discussion and actually won Game of the Year from many other publications. I know the Game Awards didn't have it as Game of the Year, but many other publications had Metaphor Refantasio as the Game of the Year. It was also my Game of the Year as well. So to sit here and say that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 proves that turn-based RPGs should make a comeback, as if they haven't already been here with stuff like SMT5 Vengeance, with other games like Unicorn Overlord as well. That game was fantastic too. On top of everything else that we talked about, Metaphor Refantasio sold 1 million units in 24 hours. So it even beat out what Clair Obscur is doing. So for people to sit here and act like turn-based RPGs haven't been around, or nobody's playing them, or they're not in the spotlight, we just had Metaphor Refantasio late last year. That was a Game of the Year candidate in the Game Awards and a Game of the Year winner for many different publications. So this is kind of the nonsense that I'm saying, okay, we got to kind of cut out on that. We're going a little bit too far. There are people that are proving that they simply don't like or don't play a lot of turn-based games or don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden Clair Obscur comes out and it's popular, and okay, oh, they're back now. And it's like, no. JRPGs, when it comes to turn-based stuff, has been around. They've been thriving. They've been doing good. So this is just silly overall when people say stuff like that. Now, to address the Final Fantasy thing, like, listen, if they make a Final Fantasy that's turn-based, that'd be fine. I'd be fine with it. I think that action RPG Final Fantasy is good too, but I have checked out on the last couple Final Fantasy games. Final Fantasy 16, never finished all the way through. Played a lot of it, but never finished all the way through. Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, I was playing it and I just got really frustrated with a lot of the stuff in the game. The mini games weren't necessarily that fun to me. Some of them were okay, but a lot of them were not. I got kind of tired of the open world. I got kind of tired with a number of things. The game just kind of dragged a bit, and I just decided to just kind of drop it at this point. Now, I will go back to it at some point, probably before the third and final part comes out. So I'll probably go back to it, but I do think that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a well-paced, smaller, bite-sized type of RPG that is really well made. And a lot of the things that people might see frustrating with some turn-based RPGs or some of these bigger ones is kind of completely gone with this game. So I do think that Clair Obscur obviously is great, and turn-based RPGs can completely be viable, but they've always been viable as Metaphor, Octopath, Bravely Default, Dragon Quest, Triangle Strategy, Pokemon, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei. These are all million-plus sellers to multi-million sellers overall. So yeah, it's not like Clair Obscur did something that we haven't already known, that people want turn-based RPGs. We've seen it now. Now, I want to get to the last part here because Gene Park kind of says what I'm saying, because I think he screen capped somebody else that put hashtag Clair Obscur Expedition 33, hashtag Final Fantasy, and it says Final Fantasy if it was good, and it has the art for Clair Obscur Expedition 33. So Gene said this: nope, we're not doing this. I love my sexy fashion model alien super mutant freaks of Final Fantasy. FF has vibes that's hard to replicate across media, even anime. I welcome a new entry every time. And this is what I do agree with. I think that Final Fantasy has its own unique style, flavor, I would just say gameplay. There's something about it that definitely sets it apart from every other game out there. Expedition 33 doesn't quite feel like a Final Fantasy. Even an older Final Fantasy game, the vibes and the structure and some of the gameplay stuff doesn't quite feel like it. You do get a little bit of FF8. There are some little parts of Final Fantasy, and clearly the developers have played and loved Final Fantasy, but they are definitely separate. And I think that Final Fantasy should keep that vibe. Now, I think that the only thing that you can sit here and look at and kind of take from Expedition 33 is that, yes, you don't have to be necessarily afraid of the turn-based major graphics type of game. Final Fantasy would sell just great and just fine. So if there was anything to take from this, is that if Clair Obscur, a small team, right, with this game, Expedition 33, a small team, a developer that does not have the marketing power of Square Enix, if they can sell 1 million copies in 3 days and have one of the best rated games of the year and probably be a game of the year candidate. Obviously, Square Enix has done that with Final Fantasy VII Remake, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but they can even do more when it comes down to it. That is viable overall. Now, it always has been viable because we have Dragon Quest, we have Octopath, we have games from Square Enix themselves that are turn-based. They see what Atlas is doing. They see what Metaphor and Persona have done. They see the sales that those games get. So it's not like there hasn't been turn-based games that have a certain style and flow that have done well and reviewed well and people really like it and be game of the year candidates and all of that. It's just that we have something that's different from a lot of these other games, and the graphics are a big point of it. Unreal Engine 5 and how it looks. So people are making this equation to Final Fantasy. But I'll say this, if there's one thing, like I said, I think that this can completely dispel. If there's any type, I would say any little indication that people wouldn't want to play a turn-based Final Fantasy game, I think that yes, here we go. We have Expedition 33. We know that it can sell. We know that people can be excited for it. And I think that maybe, just maybe, this might kind of point them in the direction of that. Now, I think that if they were going to go in the direction of the next Final Fantasy game being turn-based, this is something that they were probably already evaluating and doing anyway. If they do it, I don't think this game came out and like, all right, hold the presses, move it from action RPG to turn-based RPG. I don't think that's the case. And I'm not talking about the next part in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Obviously, that's going to be an action RPG. I'm talking about like Final Fantasy 17, the next major one after Final Fantasy 16. I do think that they'll probably go back to turn-based, and people will say it's because of Clair Obscur Expedition 33 they went back to turn-based. But I do think that they were probably already thinking about it, but it's viable. You know, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You can look at it in any type of way. Now that we have a game like this, like I said, Clair Obscur, a brand new IP that's from a small team that focuses obviously a lot on the graphics because of the Unreal Engine 5 and really the quality of the audio, the music, everything in this game. There is no question at all that Final Fantasy can come out and sell very well when it comes to turn-based. And like I said, there was some back and forth with the fans if that's even the case, or if that can even happen, or what would be best in terms of the sales and the continuation of the franchise. But all of that's been dispelled 100%. Not that it ever was like a problem before, because obviously all the games that I mentioned, but now I think at this point, there's no need to even bring it up anymore, because that has been a thing and that should just be gone at this point. Clair Obscur is a great game. Expedition 33 has been fantastic. I've put, I think, around 12 to 13 hours. I'm just building up. I'm playing on the hardest difficulty. It's fantastic. The pairing in the game, I love the small window that you get, but once you get it, it feels great to pull off. I love the Pictos, which are the different abilities that you can get and equip them, then learn them, then other people can learn them, and the Luminia points, and you can have a bunch of different skills attached to your characters. I love the different weapons and how the weapon system works overall. I love the combat. I love the dodging. I love everything in this game. It's really good. There's really only a few small things that I don't like, but the music is great. The combat is just so much fun. There's a lot of variety within what you can do, and the characters work well off of each other. If you really want to fine-tune them to work with certain characters or all three of them at a time, it's just great. And a lot of different mix-ups and different styles and patterns from enemies, and it kind of always throws you you for a loop with new things that they're throwing at you overall. Side quests are really good. You got to walk around, kind of see different stuff on the map. Not going to spoil any of this stuff for you guys, so don't worry. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it a lot. And I think that the next major Final Fantasy game after, when it comes to like Final Fantasy 17, I do think that Square Enix is probably going to do things a bit differently. But I just wanted to address that because that's been something that people have been talking about. I've been seeing a lot of talk back and forth. But yes, there's room for both. Both are great, and I cannot wait to see what's next, not only for the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 team, but also for Square Enix with Final Fantasy 17 and what they do there. I think there's a new dawn, new day. They obviously have new targets in terms of platforms and what they want to do. So I think that it's really going to be something interesting to see exactly what Final Fantasy 17 manifests into. So what do you guys think overall with everything that we talked about here? It was a lot. Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other RPG, Nintendo Switch 2 content, and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.